You meet attorneys and doctors every day, but you don't meet best-selling authors every day. Every industry has those should have asked questions. Each one of those is now a chapter of the book. All you need to do is answer those questions. There is nothing like a book to move a brand or an idea. If they read the book, well...
Leaders, imagine a single asset that could instantly elevate your authority, attract your ideal clients, and open doors to unparalleled speaking opportunities. It's not a new app. It's not a secret marketing funnel. Guys, it's a book. It's time for your business card to get a spine. Today, we sit down with Everett O'Keefe, the book whisperer. He's behind over 200 best-selling launches to reveal how authorship isn't just about writing. It's about igniting your legacy and multiplying your impact. Tune in to discover why your next big move as a self-aware leader is to become a published author. Thank you, Everett, for being on the show today.
My goodness, Jason, that was phenomenal. And for time for your business card to grow a spine. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That was
you that. Take that, yes.
so good. Brothels.
Yeah, it's something that, as leaders, when we think of books, it's we shared this off air when we were talking about this, Everett. It's kind of one of those things where it gets to, I can write something, but I don't know to go from there. And I want to start with the origin of your mission. Let's get into that first. I know your dad challenged you to pursue what you're capable of, not just what you want. How did that moment evolve into a career helping? Because that's what you're doing. You're helping others capture their expertise in print.
Yeah, it was funny. I always thought I was going to be a teacher, and I thought that I would enjoy that. And then as I was going through grad school, I was like, oh, maybe I'll teach in college, like teach at the college level. I think I've always wanted to help. I've always wanted to serve. I just didn't know where it was going to be. But honestly, I think my dad was not an entrepreneur, but for some reason inspired in me to be one. And so, every successful entrepreneur has this certain level of drive, but also a certain level of like entrepreneurial ADD, which allows them to see opportunities, be distracted, but focus enough to make them happen. I think that's what Dad gave me, was just a drive to like explore it. Like, why not try it? Let's do this,
right,
and see where it goes. And so, yeah, and not to mention, Dad was a great talker, gift of gab, Irishman. Kissed the Blarney Stone, and I think he swallowed the Blarney Stone actually. So anyway, there you go. That's what's got me started off.
No, that's awesome. And I kind of want to reverse engineer this. I think it'll be fun so that everyone knows the end result of a book being a bestseller and having a bestseller status. What is the client perception of that? What is the pricing power, the deal flow? Because I want everyone to know, we're going to get super practical because we want to help leaders today understand that they can write a book and that it can get published, and it is going to help them tremendously. So what shifts for a leader the day after their book hits bestseller status?
Well, it's interesting. We go after, and it's totally understandable, the bestseller status as a point of authority. Okay. And that is the main reason to do the bestseller status, is the authority that carries with you and the book going forward. And it's something that can't be taken away. And it's pretty unique. I mean, you think about it. How many people have MD degrees? How many people have law degrees? Compare that number to the people who are best-selling authors. Like you meet attorneys and doctors every day, but you don't meet best-selling authors every day. Actually, you don't even meet authors every day, right? That is rare air. And that translates into authority when it comes to business. It gives people access to new audiences, new opportunities. I mean, you talk about speaking. If you want to do speaking in front of an audience, one of the first questions you get asked by an event organizer is, "Oh, great. What's the name of your book?" If you're sheepishly going, "Oh, yeah, I'm working on one. I've been working on one for 5 years," that doesn't help. But I will tell you, there's a different shift that is far more powerful. It isn't the outside perception. It is the interior posture. And this was so unexpected. Jason, when I published my first book, and I'm sitting here, I'm looking at it on Amazon. Like, I can't believe I've got a book. I can't believe it's on Amazon. We did a bestseller launch, and then it was like, I can't believe I'm beating John Maxwell, and I can't believe I'm beating Malcolm Gladwell, and some of my favorite authors. Was an internal posture shift that happened. I didn't plan it. It was just like, wait, something is different. So I'll tell you, it's kind of akin. I'm a private pilot. Or I used to be. I haven't flown in a bit, but the first time I flew an aircraft solo was like, wait, there's no one else in the cockpit. Wait,
Right. Yes.
I've really accomplished something special, and there was this confidence that gets in. Those benefits are far more powerful and unexpected.
Yeah, I think even just having, if you're passionate about something, even if, like we have a lot of millennials, and it's crazy that millennials are like 40 years old.
No, right? Yeah.
It's like, but they're the ones, especially, they said female millennials are the ones that are spending up to $300 a month on self-improvement. Like books and stuff like that. So female millennials, are buying all the, buying all the self-help stuff. So
that
whenever
that means I've got at least a couple years left in my business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, books aren't going anywhere anytime soon. But it's so wild whenever you think about it, as far as this younger generation even sees the importance of it. And I have a lot of younger leaders that have this idea or this thought that's been going for for a decade in their head, or some experience that they've gone through. What would you tell like a leader, like somebody that's listening to this right now? Because we're going to get into like hybrid traditional DIY, but like a leader that is has a real desire to write, they just don't know where to start.
Yeah, so if you're talking about the mechanics of creating that manuscript, there's some really great ways to make that happen. Some of it is simply finding a formula that works for your business and your brand. And one of those, I think we were talking about, maybe alluding to, was one of the quickest and easiest ways to write a book for your business or brand is to write a book around the frequently asked questions of your business. The things that ask you all day long, because you already have those answers in your head. You could dictate them. You could riff those right off the top of your head. Our first book was a book about video marketing, and we picked it because we just knew. We sat down and we wrote down 20 frequently asked questions that people ask about video marketing. Like, how long should a video be? Does a video need to be funny? Should there be a bunch of graphics in a video? Whatever. And we just answered those questions into a microphone. And now you can just do it into your phone. And that became the foundation for the manuscript of our first book. And educating your client or your prospect about the industry and your business is the best thing you can do. They're already asking the questions, and it makes you stand out. Like you're decimating the competition when you bring that type of thing. But that's just one.
Yeah, and I know you.
That's just one.
Oh yeah, because you have the SAQ too, the FAQ and the SAQ, the should ask questions.
Yeah, so you add to your frequently asked questions. You ask the questions people really should be asking. It's kind of like if you went into the car dealer, you're always asking how much. The car dealer wants you to talk about how much the payment is, right? But the should have asked question is, how much will this really cost me? Oh, what's
yes.
picture here? Every industry has those should have asked questions. The questions people should be asking. And you as the expert, you as the leader in your business, you know the questions people should be asking, so you cover those in your manuscript as well. But that's just one way. I mean, now you've got weapons like ChatGPT to help you brainstorm the content that would be in a book, help you organize it. There are people out there that do this, that coach people through the book writing process. Of course, there's ghostwriters for those people who are like, I could never write, but I have some great ideas.
Right.
And we can guide people through anything. There's a way. Like, the most important thing to know is if someone's got an idea for a book, there is a way to make that happen. And it doesn't take moving a mountain to do it. And neither,
right. Yes.
And this is important. Neither does it take, like, you don't have to go sequester yourself in a cabin at Walden Pond for 6 months to write a book.
Right.
I mean, like, now, if you want to use a book as an excuse to do that, that's fine. But you don't have to do that. Most of us in the business world can't pull that off. But we might be able to pull off an hour a week,
Yes.
and do it in little chunks and make it in an easily manageable way. So there's ways.
Yeah, no, I love that, the FAQ+SAQ blueprint. Whenever you start to get into how, because I think this is really important, this hybrid traditional DIY, because I'll have people on the podcast and they have used the publisher, or they'll use, they'll just do it themselves and put it on Kindle. Can we take some time? I want to take some time and take as much time as you want. Can we walk through these three, like, pros and cons, the hybrid, traditional, and DIY?
Yeah, because it's a big deal. In fact, I've done presentations where I call this the greatest decision. And for a publisher or for an author, it really is the greatest decision. So traditional publishing is what most of us think of, and it sounds very attractive. We think this publisher is going to send us a fat check, for our book, and they're going to arrange all these media appearances, and it's just going to be this like life like we've seen in some movies and things like that. Yeah, that's not the truth, sadly. So what happens with traditional publishing is this. First, you need to know that it's incredibly hard to break into traditional publishing. Most people can't. You need to have a huge following, and I mean like 25 to 50,000 followers. You have to have a very established track record of sales, because the publisher doesn't want to gamble. They don't want to take any chances. So it's very hard to break in. Usually you have to get a literary agent. That agent then shops you. Hopefully someone picks you up, etc. But then
That's expensive, right?
But what's that?
That's expensive, right?
I mean, yeah, the agent's going to take a percentage of everything, and as well they could, because they're going to earn it, really. But
right.
But it's not all roses from there. The challenge is that you are selling your intellectual property and control of your intellectual property to the public. The publisher now has rights of first refusal on any derivative works, you reusing that content, etc. You will get paid pennies on the book. Like, if you get paid $1 a copy, that's amazing. So your royalties are very small. You pay too much to buy copies of your own book, 2 or 3 times what you should have to pay. You're kind of hamstrung. And then here's the killer: speed to market. Speed to market in traditional publishing is like a contradiction in terms. I'm here more and more 18 months to 3 years to see your book come to life. And for any of us in the business world, any of us who are leaders, etc., that's an eternity. And the world may completely change in that time period.
Right.
So that's usually just not satisfactory. But the funny thing is that most people go to traditional publishing really looking for marketing. They go there because they think they're going to get book tours and they're going to be on TV shows and podcasts and, all of this stuff. When the reality is that traditional publisher is going to do next to nothing to promote that book.
Right.
Last year, there was a legal proceeding with Penguin when it came out that they devote 2% of their budget to the marketing of their books. 2%. And you know that 2% isn't going to get spent to market your book or my book. That's going to go to the Obamas. It's going to go to the big names. It's going to,
Right.
all of that. So the truth is even if you do traditional publishing, you are left doing all your marketing yourself, but you sacrifice.
I want to stop you there because this is so important. I had somebody on the podcast that went on Joe Rogan, and they have written 3 books, and they thought that the traditional publisher would be super excited. Here I am going on Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan sells a lot of books just because it's millions of people listening. He's not like #1 podcast. They didn't care. I mean, this is, if I named the name of the publisher, you would know. And if I named the name of this person, you may know, may not. But it was shocking to me how upset they were at the publisher. Because here, all the publisher was thinking is like, yeah, we'll probably sell a bunch of books, but there was no help in anything. He wanted to see what they could do. Could they make a special website for this? Could they, could they give something away? Like what you just said, he wanted some marketing help because he had a huge break.
Yeah.
And they didn't give him the time of day.
Yeah. And not only that, he might have found himself a bit hamstrung in regards to what he could do, because if he owned the book outright, he could do anything he wants. Oh, let's discount it, or let's bundle it with something or whatever. But the traditional publisher is in a spot where what they're trying to do is not compete against their distribution chain of bookstores. And whereas someone who owns the book, you can do anything you want. You're like, hey, for that day, I want to give them away, or I want to make it a special price or whatever. And you'd have the flexibility. But with traditional publishing, you're kind of chained up. So we get a lot of clients who come to us from traditional publishing. They did traditional publishing their first book. The next book they want to own, that kind of deal. So anyhow, that's traditional publishing. And there's other things we could talk about there about what's in those contracts, and did you sell movie rights and you didn't know it? What about foreign rights, whatever. So then self-publishing, I am a huge fan of self-publishing. I think it fits a terrific niche. I love it because the author has complete creative control. They have complete ownership. They get their books at cost. You get all the royalties, right? All of that. But you also have to do everything. And if you do any one thing wrong, the whole thing can be a disappointment. Let's just say you've got the best ideas, cutting edge, etc., but your editing's poor. Oh, well, no one's going to.
I see that all the time. I buy books on Amazon all the time, on Kindle, and I'll see bad editing.
Yeah. So, or your editing's great, but your layout's a little wonky. Or, you missed a step on the cover, or whatever. There's just lots of different ways that things can go south. So in between is hybrid publishing, and hybrid publishing, I like to consider it is the best of both worlds. In hybrid publishing, you get all the best of traditional and all the best of self, but you get to miss a lot of the negatives. But even in hybrid, I'll tell you, there's a spectrum, Jason. One type of hybrid publisher is basically akin to traditional in that they still own the book. But you pay a premium as an author to the hybrid publisher in order to get a higher royalty rate, or to get your books at a lower price, that type of thing. So there's a trade-off there. And there's a real role for that type of hybrid publishing. We're a different kind, though. We go the other end of the spectrum, because what we do with our authors is we set everything up in accounts that they own, so that all royalties go directly to the author. They get their books completely at cost. There's no question down the road of whose is what, and this works great. And yet they don't have to do everything, because we provide the copy editing, we provide the interior layout and design. For the cover, we do a cover contest. And our clients love this, because what we do is we end up inviting artists from around the world to come in and submit designs for that cover. And and it's great. Instead of getting like 2 or 3 variations from an in-house artist, you get like 100, 200 variations to choose from.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So, and then carry that on into the publishing and and an Amazon bestseller launch. And these can all be done where the author, the leader, the business owner has complete ownership of their IP. They could do whatever they want with the books. We set them up for print on demand. Can we talk about print on demand?
Yeah. Let's go to. I have it, so I'll remember it. But I want people to understand the ISBN and intellectual property, because this is so important. I didn't know this till I was on your website.
Yeah. So
then we'll get print on demand.
Yeah. So every format of your book has to have its own identifying number. It's a ISBN number, and that identifies that book really worldwide. So what a lot of publishers will do is provide an ISBN number, and that's fine if the publisher is going to own the book, because whoever owns the ISBN number really controls distribution. Now, if you go DIY and you sign up with, go through Kindle Direct Publishing or something, they're happy to give you an ISBN number for free, which is great, saves you a little bit of money. But the truth of the matter is, you want to own your own ISBN numbers, because it helps reinforce your control. And they're like, you can get 10 of them for a few $100. It's not a major expense as part of the process.
Why would you get 10 of them?
Well, because you need one for your paperback, you need one for your Kindle. The Kindle one's not required, but it's a good idea. One for your audiobook. And then if you do a workbook, there's another one. So we're already up to 4. And if you buy them singly, they're $125 each. So we just tell our authors,
just buy 10. Yeah.
So you got them for all of these things for this book, plus the next book, et cetera. But it's just another way to reinforce who owns that intellectual property and controls distribution of the book.
Yeah, that's so cool. So let's get into the print on demand, because I know this is like with t-shirts. I've talked to people that, I was talking to somebody the other day. They had $1 million business just on, clothing that was print on demand. So talk about books on demand.
Amazing. I love that. So print on demand, the way print on demand works in books is this. Amazon doesn't house like an inventory of your book. Instead, they house the files for your book. And when someone orders your book, tomorrow morning, Amazon prints and ships that one copy of the book.
That's crazy.
That's so crazy. It's a modern day miracle, right? And they even do it with hardcover too, not just paperback. They'll do it with hardcover.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And what's better is they do it super affordably. So my book, The Power of the Published, is about 185 pages. Okay. I can buy author copies of that book, print on demand, for $3.25 a book.
With a colored picture?
Yeah.
Like on the front?
Full color cover.
Wow.
It looks like any other traditionally printed book. And I can do.
So I wouldn't know a difference if I ordered it in Amazon.
You've read print on demand books and you just didn't know.
So what's the name? So let's make sure, because we're gonna test this, and everybody right now is gonna buy your book.
Oh, I love that.
And because I want everybody to see what print on demand looks like.
Yeah.
So what's the name of the book?
So it's called The Power of the Published, and you'll find it on Amazon and every other place online. It won't be $3.25 because that's my author cost,
of course.
Right.
But we can support you. Everybody can support you. They're going to get a lot of information out of it.
I appreciate that. So print on demand, it has such great benefits. First, you as an author, you're like, hey, you know what? I need some copies of my book. Well, great. $3.25 plus some shipping.
Right.
And that when you order, you don't have to order 500. You could order just one if you want, or 20 or 50.
Is there better pricing in bulk, or is it just
There's not. It's flat. It's there are some other tools where there's a slight discount for bulk, but
can you send it from there to a different address? Like, so let's say I write a leadership book, right? And I want to send it to a bunch of different leaders I know.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. You can go in and you can pay your author copy cost plus some shipping, have it drop shipped wherever you want.
Wow.
And
That's amazing.
for our clients who are speakers, this is fantastic,
Mhm.
right? They're going to
Yes.
speak at a conference. They have the books drop shipped to meet them there. They're not stuffing
Mhm.
them in their suitcase or the trunk of the car. And then you, again, this is so important. You have complete freedom. You can sell them back of room at whatever price you want. You could give them away. You can put one on every chair. You could bundle them in with speaking, which is a great way to
Mhm.
increase your speaking fees, by the way. You can do all
Yes.
those things where in traditional, they wouldn't want you doing those things because you're going to be competing with the bookstores. You're competing with
Right.
their distribution. But in this model, no, you do whatever you want. Now, the other part is some other great benefits. A year down the road, you go, oh, I shouldn't have said it that way. What I put in my book, I shouldn't have said it that way. Or I need to update it for some new research or whatever.
Mhm.
That can be done. You don't have to exhaust some first printing before the book can be updated. It's great. And then for people who are speaking to big audiences or who have big clients, you can do special editions. You could say, hey, what if I had a version of let's say you're talking to a client and they want you to come speak and you go, hey, I've got my book and everything. And hey, what do you think about a special edition for all of your employees? And
Mm.
and maybe we have you write an introduction or a foreword. What do you think? Would that be cool? Yeah, that'd be great. Well, now you're just got your book to every employee in the business or, whatever. All of those things can be accomplished through print on demand, things you just couldn't do through
That's crazy. That's awesome.
traditional. And so affordable, right?
Mhm.
So
And so Amazon's just racking this up. They just have, eventually they probably have robots helping them. But this is just something that is just so huge and so big because I mean I don't even imagine how many books they're selling. So this is easy. This is not hard.
yeah, and they're printing it. It's a distributed print network. They print all across, different places all across the nation. Funny thing is,
Yeah, let's get into on the hybrid side of things because I want to stay here. We talked about the traditional DIY. On the hybrid side of things, I know it's super important to be an Amazon bestseller. How does like your company and how can the hybrid side of things, how do you accomplish that? Like how does that work?
yeah. So this is something we've been doing since 2014, doing these
Mm.
Amazon bestseller launches, and we build it around the Kindle version of the book,
Mhm.
and for several reasons. One is because it can be placed in an impulse buy range.
Mhm.
Also, because the Amazon Kindle can be very accurately categorized to the content of the book in
Mm.
a way that's more challenging with paperback. So there are several different reasons we do that. But the idea for us is if we can pull it off properly, we're trying to orchestrate enough sales in the proper window of time so that by the end of our launch, we're sitting here looking at that book and it's number one in one or more categories.
Mm.
So like my first book, the one I told you about video marketing, it became a number one book in small business marketing, a number one book in entrepreneurship. And I told you it was number one over the top of all of these authors that I couldn't believe we were number one
Yeah, that's
that
crazy.
over. And that's what we're looking to accomplish with each of our books. And we've had a phenomenal track record in it. The only time we failed is when an author chose to not take our advice in regards to pricing strategy and promotion
Mhm.
strategy. So, but yeah, to help fulfill it, we create email campaigns to support it. We create marketing graphics to support it that can be used on social media and things like that. And that's how we help carry it out.
Yeah, as far as and you guys have been doing like you said since 2014. What are some of the benefits and you could talk specifically with your company, but what are some of the benefits of somebody coming with you? Obviously, how does that work? Like what's the journey?
Yeah. So we will typically we onboard clients in two different places in their journey. either they come to us and they're like, hey, I have an idea for a book, but I don't know I haven't written it yet. No. And in that case, what we'll do is look at, okay, are there some rapid writing strategies that we can employ with them in-house? That's one way. And, or is this the type of person that really would prefer to have a ghostwriter? Or do they want to write the book in an organic fashion, but just have the accountability and training and direction of a coach? And then we carry them through one of those methods, carry them to the point where the manuscript is done. A lot of clients come to us, their manuscript is already done or nearly done. They've been working on it for a while. Maybe they've got an editor or a coach. And so we'll pick them up there in that section. So that's the kind of two different onboarding places. And then from that point, it is, of course, we want to begin with the end in mind. So we start with with planning so that we can see what steps are going to be necessary to get to the point. There are a lot of decisions to be made, like people don't think about, what color is the paper? Is that a matte or a gloss cover?
Right.
Are there going to be endorsements in the book? What do those look like? What about calls to action, right? Because what's the goal of the book? What are we trying to accomplish with the book? And I think one really important thing, Jason, is most of our clients come to us with the understanding and expectation that they may not sell a ton of books and make a ton of money from royalties.
Right.
But the real ROI is what the book accomplishes. It isn't royalties. So, they come to us and it's like, and they recognize they would rather make their ROI 4 or 5 digits at a time through a new client or opportunity rather than 1 digit at a time through a book sale.
Right. Yes, of course. Right.
And there is nothing, we started the conversation this way. You talked about growing a spine. There is nothing like a book to move a brand or an idea.
Yes, 100%. Right.
Continues. Really just incredible. So.
No, I love that. And one of the things that we get a lot of questions is, and I know you get this is probably the number one question. And I know it varies dramatically, as far as cost goes. What if somebody wants to save? Let's say they know they're not going to sell a lot of books, but they're using it, to help with speaking or, to be a thought leader, to put it on their website. What are the, like, a spectrum of, you don't have to get real specific, but what's the spectrum of looking at somebody, where, because like ghostwriters can be crazy. I've talked to some people that wrote some serious books and paid, $100,000 for a ghostwriter. So so it could be really expensive.
A good ghostwriter starts at probably 35 and goes up, it varies quite a bit. A good book coach can be 5 to 10. And by the way, that's money incredibly well spent. I'm just gonna say right there. But a lot of our clients come to us and they don't employ those methods at all. And for those, we encourage them to employ what we call an editorial board process, which is take their manuscript, create a small set of test readers. Usually these are people that are your peers or people in your target market or both, and have them read the book and provide feedback. Because the reality is, like, anyone listening to this, okay, who is a leader in their business or their industry, they already have a pretty good handle on their target market. Like, they talk to their target market every day. Maybe they grew out of their target market. And so they don't necessarily need a book coach. There are a lot of people that come to us who have done it themselves. And that editorial board process is super easy. It's super cheap, and provides really great feedback.
No, that makes sense. Now, as far as, like, have you ran into any AI book coaches?
So it's very interesting. There's a book coach that I'm working with who's really kind of considering
Building that out.
folding that into her thing. I think that ChatGPT and some of these other tools out there are really do a pretty incredible job. I'm not interested in seeing a book written by AI. That's boring to me.
It's boring.
But a book organized by AI, a book that AI was used to help flesh out ideas, like go back to that frequently asked questions model. Okay. So I don't know, let's just take a realtor, for example, who says, hey, it'd be pretty amazing if I had a book that I could give to anyone for a listing appointment. So they start writing down their questions. Everyone wants to ask, what is my house worth? How long will it take to sell my house? What changes do I need to do to my house? There's a bunch of things. Well, ask ChatGPT those questions, and ChatGPT is going to also suggest about 5 other questions the realtor hadn't thought of to include in the book. That kind of using it as a brainstorming tool like that, I think is really, really helpful. Also, it's great at creating headlines, right? It's great at creating headlines that can be used for chapter titles and things like that. I see it as a great resource. But yes, there are writers out there right now who will write your book doing AI assisted writing. And I'm as long as it's your mission, your message that's getting out there and not GPT's mission and message, that
Yeah, I think there's like for some, like myself, I would think there would be like an ethical issue, but that's just a personal philosophy. But I wanna get into this, go back to this. So somebody that's thinking about doing DIY, but they got 10 grand, can they get a book done for 10 grand in a hybrid model?
In hybrid, I mean, just in all transparency, our packages start at about 11.
Okay.
And
So that helps people like get an idea.
No, that's exactly it. If someone comes to me and their budget's $2,000, I totally understand.
Yeah.
And I'll point them toward self-publishing.
Right.
And give them some direction for it. Different ways that they can go.
But to do it right, like Everett, to make sure that it is an Amazon bestseller, to do it right, what is that? Is that 25 grand, 50 grand?
So it really, in our what we do, if someone comes to us with a manuscript that's already complete, and you're going to carry them the rest of the way through an Amazon bestseller launch, right now our packages are like 11 to 15. So
that's not bad at all.
No,
that's great.
And and there are companies out there that would be happy to take 150,000 for the same thing and maybe do less, but they're capitalizing on a name.
But here's the thing, and I want leaders to get this because this is so important, Everett. I talk to leaders all the time. They'll spend 5 or 10 grand a month on Facebook ads, meta ads with Instagram ads.
And what's left a month after
you may get some leads, maybe you got some business, but at the end of the day, what's more enduring? It's like something that your kids can be proud of. It's a legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. There isn't a more durable tool that you'll create for your business or brand. In fact, what thing will you create in your business that will actually outlive you? And just from a logistics standpoint, you write a book, you publish a book, you put a book in a prospect's hands, okay? Whether they bought it or you gave it to them or whatever. That prospect takes that book home. If whether they read it or not, it continually is sitting there reinforcing your presence and expertise. And the coffee mug you gave that had the branded whatever on it, that's cute and friendly and all of that, but it says nothing about your expertise.
But you can give the book cheaper, probably.
You absolutely can.
Than a coffee mug.
I remember when I used to give coffee mugs away, and they were $6.50, $7, and that was a long time ago. And, but the book, there's a chapter in The Power of the Published about the power of the unread book. The unread that sits on your desk or the newsstand or on the back of the toilet or wherever it sits. is a constant reinforcement that you are the expert on that topic.
That's so great.
You
Yeah.
know, it's crazy. Now, if they read the book, well, they're yours. Let me just say that. If they read the book,
Yes.
they're yours. Because
Plus, you started off the relationship by giving something.
yes, yeah,
You're
absolutely.
not asking, like, it's not salesy.
Right. Because you're educating. You're just giving them, you know, provided it's not all a long sales pitch, right? You know,
Right, right, of
provided
course.
you're providing real content and value to them. And the thing I love about books, Jason, is people read them in their most vulnerable times. They're reading it right before they go to bed. You know, and then their mind subconscious gets to chew on that overnight, or they're reading it while they're on vacation, you know, or
Right.
on an airplane or whatever. They're reading it at a time when they are not being barraged by other ads, by other content. And you may get to spend through that book, you may get to spend several hours with your prospect. You know, what other way would you get to do that? Even if you go
Right.
into your office, you're not gonna get to spend several hours with them. You're gonna get,
Right. 100%.
30 minutes or an hour here and there, whatever it is. Um, I, it's one of the reasons that books continue to be one of the most incredible methods to share a message and a mission and a business.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And you know, with Amazon, like you said, the print on demand, and then with so many categories, you can be as specific as you want in the book. You know, if you're doing horseshoeing, you can write a book
Be
on,
the expert
you
in
know.
horseshoeing. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Exactly.
The,
Yes, yeah.
I have a friend of mine who wrote a book. This was in the early days of internet marketing. Pit bulls were were involved in all these dog attacks and it all over the news. Well, he decided he was going to take advantage of the news. So he wrote a book about how to train a pit bull. Okay. And I don't even remember where he got the information, but he decided to write this book about pit bulls. And then he was selling them online, like just as a lead magnet for some training course. And then he got a phone call from some reporter who said, "Hey, David, there was this kid got bit by a pit bull, and we want to do a news segment, and I want to interview you." And the author's like, "Well, don't interview me. There's this great veterinarian that knows way more about pit bulls than I ever do. You ought to interview him." And the reporter said, "No, like, you wrote the book. You wrote the book. I want you." Right.
Right. Yes, yes, yes.
So it kind of comes down to like, you want to be the one who wrote the book, not the one who read the book. Right. Wouldn't you rather be the one who wrote it? And
yeah, that's so good. Yeah. And I want to get into, because this is like what we're talking about was the advertising. You know, there was a client that had a 600% in speaking fees, post launch. And like you had said earlier, you had the box of books and you'd had to put them, I mean, shipping now is crazy, but now you can send them directly to the place. What have you seen, with your clients, with on the marketing side when it comes to speaking engagements?
yeah, speaking, a book and a speaking is a perfect marriage. They just need to come together. Like we were discussing, how if you are trying to do something on the speaking circuit, they're going to ask you repeatedly, what's the name of your book, and maybe how we can, get it factored in, that type of thing. So yeah, you were making a reference to one of my clients, Frank, who he'd been working on a book for 3 years when I met him. And finally we pushed him across the finish line. And that next year, his revenue from speaking went up 600%. And it was a combination of more speaking opportunities because of his book, and then being able to request and require a higher fee as well. There's another thing that books are great for when it comes to speaking, and that is, a lot of people get asked to speak for free. right? It's like,
Right.
could you come speak to our organization? And then you say, oh, well, yeah, we can do that. What's your normal budget for bringing a speaker out? Well, we really don't pay speakers, we're just hoping you would come, and of course we all want to help, but at some point there's a limit to what we can do for just helping gratis. So one of the things you do is you say, well, okay, so you don't have a speaker budget. Do you guys have a budget for like a swag bag, like tchotchkes, stuff that you're going to give people as a welcome bag for your event? And they're like, yeah, actually we do. Well, and you say, okay, well, what do we talk about including my book in that swag bag? And they're like, wow, that'd be super cool. What would that cost? And then you get to say, well, you know what? My book retails for $19.95 on Amazon, but I've got a deal with my publisher where I can get those copies to you guys for $10 each.
Right.
Like, that would be amazing. Well, it costs you $3.25 to buy the author copies at Amazon, and you ship them there. So maybe it's $4 a copy shipped. You just cleared $6 per book. If there were 100 people at that event, you just made $600 from a free speaking.
Right. Yeah, and you got your book out. Yeah.
And more importantly, you're getting that book into those people's hands who may come back to you and hire you for your 4 or 5 digit service.
That's so good. Yeah. So I want to get into, because I want to keep with this, because I think it's so good. I know after 30 days, sales taper.
Absolutely.
With a book.
Absolutely.
What happens? Like, how do you keep the momentum going? Is there a 90-day playbook? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is after an Amazon bestseller launch, the sales drop off pretty precipitously. And that's expected, because in the bestseller launch, you're really motivating your list, your people and network to go participate in that launch. Pardon me. Going forward, it can be any number of things. I mean, I think I'm a big fan of a podcast tour, right? Speaking on a podcast so that you can speak to other people's audiences and expand your reach. There, of course, are people out there that you can pay for publicity. Amazon has their own built-in ad structure for it as well. But I have to say, I'm a huge fan of finding people to give your book to. I am convinced if you have an offer, if you have a business behind your book, you can make more giving your book away than you will probably ever make selling your book. But you have lots of different options of ways to sell and market and push a book if you choose to. But I'm going to give them away every chance I get.
Yeah, that's so great, and that's such a great, like I said, in the very beginning, it's the perfect business card. So I mean, I wanna get into the post-launch mistake, because I think you've seen hundreds of these. What do you think is the single misstep, something that absolutely just devastates you, and then how can we avoid that?
This is super easy to answer the question. We as business owners, entrepreneurs, and things like that, we are constantly creating amazing things and then leaving them behind. We come up with this great initiative or whatever, and it works a couple times, and then we get distracted by something and we move on to something else. So the greatest mistake about being an author is becoming a secret agent author. You did your book, and that's great. Did the book. It was all a big focus of yours for a period of time. Then next year, you're like, you're all constantly looking for new things. It's fine. That's what we should be doing. But that book should be part and parcel of everything you do. It should be in your email signature. It should be, very incredibly visible on your webpage. It should be part of any publication you make. Take some spot and put it. It should be in your LinkedIn profile and in your LinkedIn signature. That nobody should ever lose sight of the fact that you are an author. As that is such a point of distinction that so few people truly get to enjoy. So you've done the work. You've got to just make it in everything that you do.
Yeah, I love that. And, I think a practical step, and I think this is really important, because we have a lot of listeners that listen to this episode while they're commuting. They'll tell me, oh, I listen to you, when I'm going to work or whatever, and they're all leaders, and so a lot of these people that are listening right now definitely would, have a desire to write a book. What do you think is like? What have you seen to be the best? Besides discipline, we can all say you need to be disciplined, but what like 30-minute action, or what can they take and do tonight to move the idea to an outline?
I would sit down and if the frequently asked question model is attractive, and by the way, I still think this is the fastest way to create a business changing book, is grab the timer, set the timer for 5 minutes and start writing down frequently asked questions. I promise you're going to write down 10 or 15 or 20 frequently asked questions about the book. Each one of those is now a chapter of the book. All you need to do is answer those questions, and you already have that in your head. Grab your app, you can just use the voice dictation on your phone. There's some great apps like otter.ai, where you can just dictate the answers. That will be the foundation for your book. The other thing you can do, and I found this to be powerful, sit down and write a letter that someone writes you after they've read your book. Where they're writing, they're saying, "Dear Jason, thank you so much for writing your book. Because of your book, I was able to do this and that and the other." Like that helps frame why you're doing it, right? Like it's like, what's the true end game? And that can be a really emotional motivator for some people.
Yeah, I want to close in this. There's 3 power takeaways that I really, really love. And leaders, I want you to listen to this. Number 1 is a book. It's a fast tracks instant authority, and it lets you have premium pricing. Number 2, the FAQ+SAQ method that Everett gave you lets even busiest leaders, you can draft chapters in days, and it doesn't take years when you think of it that way towards what you spent decades being an expert in. And then number 3, guys, this is important. Ownership of your ISBN equals ownership of your future revenue. So Everett, I want to thank you for proving that our greatest impact starts when we each ship our stories. So thank you for that.
Man, Jason, thanks for having me on, and thanks for giving us such we really got to cover some ground today. That was fun.
And Everett, it's ignitepress.us, right?
Yep, ignitepress.us. And for anyone who wants to just sit down and have a conversation with me personally about their idea for a book, that's the place to go, ignitepress.us. And there's a button there to set that consultation. And then for people who want a free digital download of The Power of the Published, they can go to mypodcastperk.com, mypodcastperk.com, where they can get a PDF of it if they want, or it'll link them to Amazon where they can buy a physical copy or Kindle copy if they want.
That's awesome, guys. Grab it. It's free. It's right there for you, and this can help you. So until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and remember, the world we can and will read your book.